Aloha, what's up everybody? This is John coming at you from Kawela Motors, and we got our 2021 EPR race here. It's a little bit rainy outside, so I'm just going to do this in my garage. But this bike actually is ready to go. It is fresh from the crate. You know, we just took it out, we set it up, we did our little walk around video on this guy, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go over just a few tricks and tips for maintaining the bike and setting up the bike. Now, right out of the box, this thing is good to go. There's not much you really need to do to it or have to do to it. It's pretty good. Besides checking some of the air pressures and setting up your levers to the angle you want and setting your bar distance, there's not much to it. But there's a couple of things we want to do before we start riding this bike. And like I mentioned before, in another video you can check up above, we're going to go through the plugs and we're going to grease up our controller plugs. We're going to grease up our front controller plugs, and you will see a little bit of rearranging of the controls as well, just to get an idea of what you can do. You know, you don't have to be locked into the way it's set up from the factory, and why I do it, just for comfort wise. So stay tuned, guys. Aloha. Alright guys, so we got this done. We greased up our plugs. We put dielectric grease in our plugs, and since we're here and we're open, what I wanted to introduce, I guess, to my bike, and I have this on my Escape R already, is this right here. This is a training map switch. Now this mounts here pretty conveniently. You could mount it somewhere, you know, else with a extended wire and a plug, but it's pretty handy right here. It sits under the fairing or the body of the bike, so you won't even see it. And it plugs, comes around, and it plugs into this options labeled plug. It's a 2-wire plug, and this is a training map switch. And if you haven't looked into it, there's not too much information on the training map switch. But this, what it does is it basically kills your 3 maps, your green, blue, and red. It takes it to about, I would say, at least half. So if you feel like your green, blue, and red is substantial for riding around in trails, that's great. But this is for if you have younger kids, if you say you have inexperienced riders, you turn this on, and what you need to do is you need to cycle through the maps in order for it to engage. Now, if you turn this on, but don't change a map, like, so say you start in green, you turn this on, and you just go, it will still be in green, regular mode. You need to turn this on, and if you're already in the map, you need to cycle through it. So go green, blue, red, and back to green. And then you'll be in training green. Now at training green, this is very slow. You can pull the throttle like all the way, and the bike will just creep. And this is for if you're in a tight space, maybe around some cars or something, and you just don't want the bike to whiskey throttle. You don't want to worry about pulling too much throttle or slipping off or doing something technical when you're balancing and twisting the throttle accidentally and have the bike shoot out. This will prevent that. It's something you're not going to use in the trail, it's almost too weak to use in a real riding situation. But when you're just putting around and you want to do your little just your static balance training or tight full lock turns, this is very handy, and you can translate that when when the bike is off, without the fear of putting it into the side of your house. So check that out. Alright guys, so one more thing that I want to do to my fender, or my rear fender, before I put it back on the bike, to show you guys how I reinforce this plastic piece. Now, not to say that you need to do this. In a previous experience, what happened was I looped the bike out, of course, like trying to do something, and when you put so much pressure here, you basically have these 2 points on the subframe that really take a brunt of the force. Now this plastic is very tough. I'm not exactly sure what mixture it is, but it's a very, very tough plastic. That being said though, it does flex, and what happened was over here, this seam just kind of separated and it got a little bit bent out of shape, and I just kind of wanted to prevent that. So is this necessary? I would say no. Not necessary, but for the type of stuff that we do, and the type of things I wanted these plastics to last a little bit longer, I just basically took a piece of 1-inch aluminum plate, 1/8 inch thick, and I placed it right in this rib here, and it fits perfectly. So I cut it to length. I mapped out some holes to give it a pretty good pattern of where to set the rivets, and I simply riveted them in. Now if we have any excessive forces here at the top, this won't buckle. It may push out a little bit on the side, but that's expected. That's just how it is. Pretty much all trials bikes have a seam somewhere, and it's gonna have that issue. But with this, by doing this, I just stiffen up the subframe a little bit more, not adding much weight at all because it is aluminum plate, which is definitely stiff enough. And now I would get a little bit more life out of this shell, or this subframe carcass. And if you ever have to replace your subframe for any reason, you have a catastrophic crash and you do need to replace it, you can simply drill these rivets out and just use the plate on the next piece. Alright, so I got my rear subframe fender installed with my modified riveted frame up here with the support. So that's all good to go. See, it doesn't show too much on the bike either, so it looks good as well. But you're getting a little bit more reinforcement there. Also, that training map switch, like I said, it tucks under here real nice. So you just in here and you just flick it on and off. And I'll show, I'll give another video, a short video, on how that training map really works. Yeah, okay. You moved up to the top here. There's a few things I did. If you notice, double switch here, and my safety switch is here now. And the reason I did this primarily is because for me, I like to hold the kill switch on my throttle hand. It really makes me more aware of when I stop, I yank it. For some reason, when I ride, if I have to adjust my helmet or anything with my goggles, I usually use my left hand because obviously I don't want to be letting go of my right hand. Sometimes if I'm moving very slowly, I'm just traversing through the trail, I don't want to let this go and slow down. So I can keep this here, but I can also remove this hand to do whatever I need to do. Okay. the button right next, as you saw in the walkthrough video, this is the FRB. So this is my brake here. And then of course, I also put my map switch on this side as well. So it's a little bit more of a reach further in. But the reason I moved it from here, from this side, is because when I'm riding and I hear someone rev up, or I hear the gas buddies up front, you know, I can hear they're revving their engine. I think, okay, maybe if I'm in green, now I need to be in blue or red. You know, I'll be on my throttle and I literally have to like let go the throttle, adjust, and then go back on the throttle. Now with my map button here, if I hear something or if I see something coming up that I know I'm going to need another mode, I'll just pop it in and just reach over, pop it in, and I'm good to go. Drop my clutch lever a little bit down, a little bit lower. We'll try this out. I'm not used to having it this low, but we'll see what happens. Also my brake lever, I dropped it down too. And yeah, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure why this is always on this side. My TRS gas trials bike is on this side as well, and I believe, and you can answer me in the comments if anybody knows the real answer, but I believe it's because with trials, it seems like they never want to kill the bike. I'm assuming if you kill the bike, you lose points or you DNF or something. So they always have, you know, they always have their clutch hand in, and of course if their clutch is in, regardless of if they're giving it throttle or not, you know, their hand will stay on the grip. Therefore their kill switch needs to be on that side. But with the electric bike, don't necessarily have to worry about killing the bike. And if anything, if you're going out of control or something, you want to take this off and get out of there. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'm not sure if there's a rule to this or what the real reason is for being on this side normally, but I just prefer it on this side. Now let me know in the comments if you know the reason why. All right, last but not least, we are going to give this bike a nice shining. And we're not just going to make this look good. What this is SC1. This is Maxim's silicone spray, and this thing is great. See, new bike in a can, prevents buildup of mud and rubber. Not too sure about the rubber, won't be shredding too much rubber, but it definitely will have some mud. So what we're going to do is we're going to blast this everywhere, except of course our disc rotors on our rear and our front. But this silicone, so it's actually safe for all the components, safe for all the seals. So now, like I said, with the EP Erase, we can actually access all of this. So we're gonna we took the battery out and we're gonna blast SC1 on all of this just to get a nice coat on everything, so that when we do wash our bike, the mud will just fall right off.